episode of The Crossover, our new basketball podcast on the Beyond the Locker Room network. It's been long overdue. We're big hoops fans. My boy Ravi, who you see on the show before, and Beyond the Locker Room, doing some NBA preview stuff and some playoff material for me. So we thought, it's about time we give the people, as your boy Rose says, what they want. So we're gonna start.
The people what they want.
So we're gonna start off here with an NBA show. How the setup's going to be is we're going to discuss kind of like the games of the week, some feature of the game of the week, and then we're going to get into the topic of the week. But because there's no games and the season's just starting, we're going to give our previews of who we like in each conference and the finals and who we think is going to be our champs by the end of the year. So, Ravi, man, what do you think, man? How you see this season going, man?
I mean, I think it's a three-horse race. I think you have the Spurs leading the pack. Mm-hmm. I think Cleveland's right behind. And, depending on the health of Rose, I think Chicago's right up there as well.
Oh, interesting.
And after that, I would put the Clippers at 4th.
Okay. That's surprising, actually. Okay. I see pretty much 3 Western Conference teams in Cleveland. I see the Clippers, maybe Oklahoma City, if the matchup's right. Of course, the champs, the Spurs, and I see Cleveland's really the only true threat from the East. I mean, so I'm already kind of hedging who I'm seeing in the finals from the East side already. Chicago makes me nervous because I know how Chicago is. They'll play hard, but I'm not sold on Rose. The guy hasn't played in 2 years. Gasol's Gasol. You know very well about Gasol in this case, with your Laker lore and how that works out with Gasol. Sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't. And then there's also the fact that Thibodeau runs these guys into the ground. That's the element a lot of people aren't talking about. And I don't know how it's going to play out. He's got depth this year. He's got depth. That's what they keep telling me. So we're going to find out, if he's going to actually use the depth. So Ravi, man, who do you like in the top 4 in each conference?
The East, I'll go Cleveland, Chicago, Miami, and Toronto.
Okay.
Not necessarily that. I put Toronto ahead of Miami, obviously. I don't think Indiana has a shot. I think they're pretty much done for the year.
All right.
And I really don't think Philly, there's really no one else in the East where I think it's a serious threat.
Okay. I'm going to go and make the same 4. I'm going to replace Miami with Washington. I like Washington's team overall. I like them as a 4. I think Toronto will beat them out for the 3 seed. They're in the Southeast Conference. That means, they could get the home field. They could get the home court advantage in this case because Chicago and Cleveland play in the same division. So, I like Washington, Toronto, and then, Cleveland and Chicago. And I think seeding is going to play a big part of it since they both of them are in the same division. And as far as the West goes, who do you like?
The fun begins. So we'll go with San Antonio, Clippers, OKC. I mean, again, big asterisk on the health, and Golden State.
Okay, Golden State. All right. I like Golden State. Wow, I didn't think you're getting that high up, man. Okay, I'm going Clippers, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, and my 4 seed. See, this one is a toss-up because I can see Golden State, I can see Portland, I can see Houston. But I'm going to stick with Portland. I think they have the nice core pieces put together. I don't trust Dwight and I don't trust Harden. So and they lost with Parsons. They got a lot, they got a lot of catching up to do with, their depth isn't the same as it was last year. And Golden State, as much as Steve Kerr is like the golden boy right now, I gotta see it to believe it. So I'm gonna stick with Portland at this point. So that's my 4, man. OKC, San Antonio. That's not the order I have them, but OKC, San Antonio, Clippers, and Portland. So out of those 4, I guess we're looking at who you see in the Eastern Conference Finals. I guess it depends on seedings, but who do you like to see in the East?
In Conference Finals, easy one: Chicago, Cleveland, definitely. The West, I would say San Antonio and the Clippers.
I kind of like you the same with the West. I will say in the East, though, even though that seems like the obvious too, based on seeding, I could see a scenario where Toronto or Washington could be playing Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. Just because of the seeding. Because what might end up happening is that, depending on what type of start Cleveland and Chicago get, you could see like a 1-4, a 2-3, or some type of scenario like that where when they seed them up, they might actually end up playing each other in the second round, I think. I'm not sure, but it might be a scenario where that plays out. And they
Exactly.
they could be on the same side of the bracket depending on what happens. And we know Chicago, they're always full of injuries. So you can't guarantee that they're going to be able a full complement by the time May comes around. So I will stay with the safe bet as well. Cleveland, Chicago in the Eastern Conference Finals. And who you like in your final then?
In the finals, I think. I think they'll come together pretty quickly. So I put San Antonio, Cleveland up in there. I mean, it's not it's your typical final pick. Nothing surprising. I think the Spurs are still going to get back there. And I say look out to see who Ray Allen joins.
Yeah, he's still the wild card out there, man.
Still the wild card. So watch out to see. I mean, will he go west? Will he join LeBron after the All-Star break in Cleveland? Watch out for where Ray Allen's at.
Ray's falling in love with that sunshine, man. It's going to be hard to give that up to go to Cleveland in like January. I don't know about that, man. The more he stays out, the more I think the Clippers got a shot at him.
Hey, well, that's an option too.
Exactly.
That's and he played for Doc, so there's a connection there.
So, I like Spurs Clippers this year in the finals. And I'm going to stick with Cleveland, Chicago in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think overall it's going to be a Cleveland. I know Clippers are the sexy pick, but I'm going to go with the Spurs, man. Cleveland Spurs.
I agree with you. Clipper fans, I'm sorry. We don't believe you. You need more people.
You didn't do that to the Clipper fans. That's some Laker bias creeping in there, folks. We'll get to them in a second. But I don't know, man. I don't trust Chris Paul, man. I just don't trust him in the big moment, man. I think they might get the Western Conference Finals, as I said before. I think they will be there, but to take that next step to get the finals, I don't know. So we'll see. Folks, by the way, the third part you hear in this podcast is my little girl. In this case here, she has her comments about the league as well too. One day we might have her on the podcast. Anyways, so let's move on, and that's kind of what we like. I guess for your winner, I guess who you have, Cleveland or San Antonio?
Gotta go with the Spurs. The safe, boring pick, but. Yeah.
I'm with you, man.
Year after year. Year after year.
I know. I love LBJ, but I'm going to stick with the Spurs, man. For year one, Kyrie and Love.
Exactly. I mean, I think it'll be a I don't want to say an exact repeat of that first year that Miami made it to the finals, where, there was against Dallas, where it was that adjustment period. They had to kind of go through that disappointment, come back. Like I said, I can't see Kyrie taking over against an experienced team.
Well, I think the difference would be is that LeBron's going to get his, just like what you saw in this year's finals.
Exactly.
The thing is, will anyone be around there to join him with it?
Exactly.
That's the question.
Because putting up 18 and 10 assists is all fine in a game in March, but when it counts in June, it's a different story.
It is a different story. Honestly, I think Kyrie of the two, I think it's going to be okay. I think Kyrie has a natural instinct to play for the big moments. Love concerns me a little bit, I won't lie. I think he's going to end up being a big issue on the defensive end. I know people are kind of blowing that, just kind of shoving it underneath the rug, but that's a big thing, man.
I think right now, you'll see a lot more flaws. We're going to be picking out a lot, picking apart Love a lot more because he's on the national stage now.
Exactly.
I mean, we were just watching highlights and watching the stats when he was in Minnesota. Exactly. No one's really paying it. We're like, 30 and 30. That's great. But now we're really going to see what you're doing.
Yeah, when the spotlight's on and the microscope gets, and the lights start getting hot on him, we'll see.
And the microscope's going to be on that team all year long.
So. I think about 3 or 4 teams are going to have serious. That's why I like the Spurs, because no one's really minding them as usual. The spotlight's going to be heavy on the Clippers. The spotlight's going to be heavy on OKC. The spotlight's going to be heavy on Cleveland. And the spotlight's going to be heavy on Chicago and to Miami. Depending how relevant Miami stays, it will be on them as well early in the season.
Exactly.
And probably in this case, to some extent, just to see how the Lakers go, it might be there too. So, speaking about the Lakers, let's move into topic number 2. Topic of the week in the association. And boy, did they just lay one on the platter for us this week. It's all about Mr. Bean, Kobe. Huge article came out ESPN Magazine this past week from Henry Abbott discussing kind of like the demise of the Lakers, you might say, and how much one Kobe Bean Bryant has to do with it. And I tell you, I don't know about you, but when I read it, it's stuff that I felt that people already knew already. Kind of like, you know, you hear all the time rumors, you know, Kobe's personality. I think it's still shocking for folks to see it in black and white. It's like, whoa. And there's a few things that I like to discuss that came out of it that even I didn't realize, you know, which we discussed a little bit off record, but that I like to get into. But what's your take on it, man? You know, Kobe's your boy. It's Los Angeles. That's your team, so.
I mean, like we discussed offline, and I don't think there's anything surprising about the article.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you ask yourself, why is this making news right now?
Mm-hmm.
Through the years, Kobe's always been Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's through the situations with Shaq, the Colorado situation, you know, winning championships, losing in the finals, Kobe's always been Kobe. But Kobe has never been 36 and coming off 2 major injuries. And he's old, and the Lakers they're a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
They're a bad team. You know, I give them 35 to maybe 37 wins this year.
What? you must be that boy. What Kool-Aid you're drinking there, Cole? Boy, you must be mad. 35 to 37 wins.
35 to 37 wins this year.
If this team gets 30 wins, man, I would eat this hat that's on my head if they get 30 wins. I'll put salt and pepper on it and start eating that. If they get over 30 wins.
You're going to eat this one too.
Okay, eat this one too. Oh my gosh. You're kidding me. 37 wins. Holy smokes. And the East have like a playoff spot. Are you crazy?
Probably.
Oh my goodness, man. You believe in the talents of one Kobe Bean Bryant a bit too much, my friend. Now that roster.
Well, I think they have a shot. They're 35 to 37.
Wow, okay. My take on it is this. As I said before, most of it didn't surprise me. I think there's one part of it that really kind of, to me, show kind of the, I would say the pettiness of Kobe in this case here. And you hear these things with Michael Jordan too, so it's not a Kobe thing. It's just dudes like them are wired real differently. With the whole thing with the Steve Nash thing, how that almost fell through. Actually, you know, and actually, by the way, as a Raptor fan, thank you very much, LA, for taking Nash off our hands. So we thank you for that. Parting gifts are at the door. Thank you for that. So we had to have 2-3 years of that. Good Lord. Enjoy that, Ravi.
Oh, boy. I mean, again, from a player perspective, I don't blame Nash for taking the money, but, geez, I mean, did we even get 20 games out of Nash in the past 3 years? I don't think we did.
Did you get 25 games? I think 20, but 25, I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
But I think that, again, going back to Kobe, I think what was really alarming is the pettiness about when he wanted Nash to call him, to kind of seal the deal type of thing, and like Nash like, okay, well, like, I mean, you know, I thought the guy was gonna call me, but and this whole thing is that, you know, the ego's involved. It just seemed like such a small thing. And you throw in what happened in summer with him or Carmelo, he showed up late or the wrong date and stuff like that. You know, now you put that all in context. You start wondering, it's like, does this dude really want anyone to play with him from a free agency standpoint? He always seems to find a way to sabotage the situation. That's why I find it interesting. Be it Dwight. When they lay everything out for Dwight, and here comes Kobe pretty much, not even dressed professionally. He just pretty much goes and knows the exact thing that's going to turn Dwight off.
Exactly.
You know, like,
exactly.
You know, so.
And I mean, as a Kobe fan, those are the things that frustrates you, because if, you know, you support Kobe, you support the Lakers, those are the things that frustrate you. Like, that's just the bad that's coming with the good.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said before, you know, you reap what you sow, and Lakers fans and Laker Nation and Laker management got to deal with it. And got to, you know, to take your boys' line there, take that for the next 2 years. Because as far as I'm concerned, this started from 18 years old in Salt Lake City, Utah, throwing air balls in playoff games, and no one telling him a damn thing what was going on. Like, yo, dude, you need to slow your roll. Right? From that moment, that's where everything went downhill. Because he didn't get no sort of, you know, I think Del Harris was coaching the team at the time. There's no sort of repercussions, nothing from that. And I think that's the moment where it's like, you know what, from the moment you stepped on the stage, it's like, dude, you got to slow it down a little bit. And there's never anybody kind of put him in check. Never. Anyone did try to put him in check. It's like mafioso styles. They were no longer a part of the organization. You look at everyone.
That's true.
At some point, they're all gone. So it didn't matter who it was, be it Shaq, be it whomever it was you throw in the coach with Phil Jackson. You throw in anyone that was even getting in his face about anything. Rudy T. You guys are sticking around here. He's like Hall of Fame dude. Nah, I don't listen to anybody. I do it my way, guys. Sinatra says. That's the way Kobe said.
Exactly. I mean, if this is Kobe of 2001, 2003, '05, '06, you deal with it because he's putting up numbers. He's getting you there to a certain extent. But when your personality starts trumping production, there's gonna be problems.
Well, yeah.
And that's the point where it's at now.
Well, yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, well, I would say this. Let me put it this way. We don't know yet. To be fair to Kobe, when he got hurt, arguably he's having his best statistical season ever.
He was
shooting there 50%, which is crazy. Almost like 28 a game, I think it was. Like, he was like, from that standpoint, he was out of his mind in that sense, like from an efficiency standpoint. And Kobe and efficiency usually don't go hand in hand. So that was impressive in that standpoint. That was like, what, he's at 34 at that time? So
yeah, about 34, 35.
Yeah, he's been on a tear in the preseason. I mean, let's put it this way. What's the over-under for shot attempts this season for how many, let me put it this way. How many times he goes over 30 shot attempts in the game? I say 12. You're going higher?
Probably. I mean, I think, what's that stat? I think the stat was since the '05, '06 season, he's led the league with 21.7 shots a game.
Yeah, I saw that stat
so,
in the article.
So I think, 30 shots a game. Yeah, 12 to 14, so around there.
Okay, 12 to 14. Yeah, I think so. Especially once the Nash injury happened, it just even made it just like, it was sealed at that point. Because there's no one telling him. At least with Nash might be able to control the ball and kind of get the other guys. And Kobe will balk a little bit, but he has enough respect for Nash. He might go all out Kobe. But now with these dudes here, give me a break. Who's telling him something? Who's telling him? Randall? Who's telling him something?
Well, that's the thing, right? Now. See, now it kind of goes back to like that season after Shaq left.
Oh, jeez.
There was really no one on that team that was even remotely on his level, close to his level, that could even say anything to him.
Yeah, but true. But here's the scary part with this team. I think overall this team has better talent than that team. However, if you look at the second best player on that team versus the second best player on this team, ironically, I think the second best player on that team was actually better than any player they got right now, which was Odom.
It was Odom, exactly.
And Odom's better than any player they have on the roster right now at that time. Which is a little scary. I think overall, there's more depth in this case of guys overall. But when you talk about guys that are going to play big minutes and like be the guys that to push things and be the engine, I don't know, man. I must admit, I planned it from a league pass standpoint, man. They're going to be fun to watch from that standpoint. Just to see how infuriated Kobe's going to get by about week 6 or week 8.
Well, I mean, it goes, it's a double-edged sword because, if you have an issue with certain guys coming to the team, if you have issues with wanting to relinquish, the spotlight to a certain extent or leadership or take a back seat, this is what you're going to have to deal with.
Exactly.
When he signed that big contract last year, that was pretty much hush money for the next 2 years.
Hush money, nice.
That was the hush money for the next 2 years. So it's like, Kobe, thank you very much, and we don't want to hear anything from you for the next 2 years.
Right. Oh gosh, that's gonna be unbearable, guy. Oh my goodness, man. I tell you, I'm just waiting for the car crash, man. I'm rubbernecking watching the car crash. When they got like a 10-game losing streak, oh my goodness, it's going to go down. Holy cow. Byron Scott's going to get lit up. Anyways, man, anything else you got to say before we call it a day?
No, I mean, I think it's looking forward to a good season. Mm-hmm. We'll have some weekly recap for you guys coming up, and it'll be a good season.
For real, man. Once again, man, subscribe above, comments below, tweet us out. Hit us up on Facebook on the Beyond the Locker Room site. Follow us on Twitter. Where can they follow you on Twitter, man?
I am _Mr. Ravi Porvita.
Yep, and you of course can find me at Beyond Locker Room, short form RM. Anyway, folks, once again, thank you. Looking forward to another season. Yay, ball is back. I was in withdrawal for the last 3 months, so I'm glad it's back, man. Ravi, catch you next week, man.
All right, sir.
All right, peace.